William, waiting alone at a dimly lit bus stop on a cold winter evening. The bus was late, and the quiet streets feel heavy with fog. He glances at his watch anxiously, worried about being late for his new job. After waiting for 30 minutes, William decides to walk to the next bus stop, taking a shortcut through a deserted road. The air is still and cold, with a few darkened houses in the distance. The shadows seem to stretch and shift as he walks, deepening his unease. As William walks, he spots a white van parked in the middle of the road, headlights on, and the driver's door left wide open. The engine is still running, but there's no sign of the driver. William pauses, feeling a sense of dread. Suddenly, a scream cuts through the silence, coming from the nearby cemetery. William, filled with both fear and concern, approaches the cemetery gate, which stands slightly open, leading into a dark, overgrown path. He goes inside the cemetery. Inside the cemetery, William follows a winding path to an old mausoleum. Then he hears another scream. He stops and listens, his face tense with fear as he tries to locate the source. Rounding the mausoleum, he hears a voice. William sees a small girl standing by a fresh grave, she digging grave with a shovel. Her blank, hollow eyes slowly turn to meet his, freezing him in place with terror. Suddenly, William hears the cemetery gate creak shut. His heart pounds as he slowly turns, every instinct telling him not to look. But he can't help himself. Standing at the gate, the girl, or at least something that looks like her. Her eyes are hollow, dark pits, and her skin is an unnatural, ashen gray. She raises one skeletal hand, pointing directly at him with a slow, deliberate movement. A wave of dread washes over William, freezing him to the spot. He hears a faint whisper on the wind, a voice that sounds like hers, hissing, "You don't belong here." Terrified, William bolts out of the cemetery, his heart pounding as he rushes toward the familiar path back to safety. But as he nears the exit, he sees the white van, the same one he'd seen parked there earlier. He, through the driver's window, glimpses the horrifying sight, the same girl from the cemetery gate. Now she is sitting in the driver's seat. Perfectly still, her head tilted forward, her hollow, empty eyes staring straight ahead. Her face is eerily expressionless. Without looking back, he turns and sprints away from the van, not daring to stop until he's far from the cemetery and the girl with those hollow, accusing eyes. The next morning, William wakes up unsettled, his mind replaying the terrifying events of the previous night. As he sits down with a cup of coffee, the news catches his attention. The reporter's voice is tense as she details the discovery of an abandoned white van near the edge of town. The same van William saw at the cemetery. Police believe it's linked to a series of recent child kidnappings in the area. William thinking about van. Could it have been the same van? Was the girl in the cemetery real? Haunted by the memory of her hollow, empty gaze, William decides not to tell anyone what he saw.